"You landed on your feet with this one," Rosberg said, and slid an envelope across the table. "Planning something big?" Child smiled, saying nothing. He wasn't sharing this score with anyone. This was a solo effort, and for good reason. This one was personal. He took the envelope and slid a smaller one filled with hundreds under the table. He'd thought about stiffing Rosberg on the money, but decided against it. He didn't want the heat. For once, he'd have to treat everyone square to keep them from gumming up the works. Child scanned the envelope's contents. Rosberg attempted to pry his way into Child's plans, but gave up when he failed to answer even one of his questions. Rosberg gulped down the remainder of his coffee and stood. "Thanks for breakfast. You need me again, you know where to find me." Childs nodded and watched him go. His waitress came over to clear the plates. "You should let your food settle before setting about work. Too many people don't take the time to smell the roses. It's work all the time." "This isn't work," Childs corrected. "I've just found my father." "Really? That's great. Can I get you anything else?" "Just more coffee." The waitress moved on to her other tables, and he looked at the 8x10 of Charles Malcolm Reston, his father, taken when he was in his mid-20s. He hadn't known his father's name until his mother told him in the cancer ward. She'd always claimed she didn't know which of the daisy chain of guys she'd banged had been responsible for his conception. How the hell she ever met Charles Reston, the software giant, he couldn't even guess. Even at the time of his birth, Reston had been swimming in different pools than Jessica Childs. She was a good-time girl, according to her. Childs, and the state, viewed Jessica differently. They saw her as a hooker. He'd spent most of his formative years in foster homes. When she let the cat out of the bag, he hadn't believed her. She was doped up to the gills to dull the pain and shoved in front of the TV all day that couldn't go 10 minutes without an ad for Reston Software Conglomerate. Fact and fiction were so easily merged under those circumstances. Besides, if she'd always known about Reston, why hadn't she milked him for money? She milked Childs for enough over the years. He pumped her for information, but he hadn't managed to get a straight answer out of her. But if he was in any doubt about his paternity, then the photo before him dispelled it. He was a dead ringer for the mogul at that age. Now he just had to convince Reston. The waitress refilled his coffee, and after he downed it, he settled the check and left. He read the rest of Rosberg's file in his car across the street from the diner. Rosberg had done a nice bit of detective work. It painted Reston in a more realistic light than the sanitized autobiography he'd lifted from a Barnes & Noble a week ago. Childs ran scenarios through his head. He wanted Reston to fall for the son he never had, but Childs didn't want love. He wanted cash. The son of a bitch owed him that much. This wasn't out of spite. Lord knew he was deserving. No, Reston was a mark, no different from any of the others he'd conned. The one key difference about Reston was that he carried a few more zeros than Child's usual victims. Everyone was entitled to one big score, and Reston was his. Child spent the next week ruminating while he collected on a couple of short cons. He let things churn at the back of his head while he netted himself some nice walking money. How could he get the man to come to him? Eventually, he struck up a plan he believed would work. A man of Reston's stature probably hit on more than a stripper or two in his time and would have a department dealing with such distractions. So Childs didn't go in with the cliched, "I'm your long-lost son, love me, and can I have some money" act. When someone possessed the kind of money Reston did, you had to go another route. Create interest. Intrigue the man. Play hard to get. And that was what Childs did. He did it with a simple letter, and it opened the doors to the kingdom. The first Saturday in June, Childs drove down to Big Sur. He pulled up in front of the beachfront estate. This is what 100 million net worth bought you for the weekends. The house was magnificent. It was 3 stories with acres of glass to take in the Pacific view. It was modern without being hard on the eyes, and tasteful without feeling like a museum. Reston could have gone the whole 9 yards and put in something gaudy. Childs liked that he kept it muted. He would have done the same himself.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it. at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.